All right, bing, welcome to another trade recap. First things first, let's identify Sunday's opening price, which is right here. We open here and then we traded above, so we're doing the opposite. That means we're selling. That means it's a bearish week. Bing. Now we want to identify the range we're in. I noticed we didn't gap, so we're connected to last week. So identify the range. Notice we have this P node zone. So we have this as the external resistance from last week. And then we had a interest rate news. Was it here? No, this was CPI, I believe. We had CPI right here. So I'm not expecting us to trend below. Oh, it was on Wednesday, excuse me. However, we swept liquidity. I'm not anticipating that we trend lower below here. Actually, if I'm being honest, this would be the external, because since that wick is there, it's telling me liquidity is still within this area. All right, so I have my external support, and then for my internal resistance, I have these are relatively equal low. I would not classify that as internal, although we have this wick here. It's like it's gearing up liquidity. Yeah, so that would be my external. That is not an internal. I guess I would consider this my internal. Why? It's the next best option. Excuse me, this would be the next best option. That would actually be an internal. All right, I have my range identified. And now in this case, I'm looking to buy and then sell. Buy until a higher week has been formed and then sell. This fast track to 8:30 a.m., which would be my entry window on this Monday. Harping, so it's 8:15 a.m. And at this point, we broke above the external resistance. So I would be anticipating I'd be looking for a B node zone on my entry time frame, which would be my 3-minute time frame, because this itself is my entry model. I have a V zone actually. Now I said B because that's what I was anticipating, but there's a V which is still usable. So I anticipate price to retrace there, daily metrics. Because we broke above, that tells me we're going to trend higher, and I'm already anticipating buy until a high of week. So I can actually hold this until a high of week. If I were to think, I would say hold it until at least the 0.00 level, which would give me a 2.89. But I'd actually say hold it until I see that a high of week has been made. So let's say I went for a 1 to 4 or 1 to 5, excuse me. Now I'd actually be holding this until I see a high of week has been made. So I'd be aware by time it's London at least. I'm already aware Monday is going to trend high, right? No external, because we're in new waters. Accumulating, that's not a sharp zone, so I'm not concerned about that. Now remember, the high of week, excuse me, will form between Sunday to Wednesday, New York. Higher odds between Tuesday's London session around 1 until Wednesday's New York AM. So I'd be aware by time it's 1 AM. Okay, at this point I'd be more cautious, and I'm actually trailing right there. I have here, this is a range, we're trending. That means if we do drop, we're gonna spike down. So I'd say trail a bit more aggressively, which makes more sense to me right now. 1:15 a.m. I'm being more cautious, and here I have a visible P node zone. Okay, it looks like we broke it. So I trailed some more, trail right below there. Okay, at this, I'd actually took it out, and I'd be up at this time. So this would be me right here. Okay, got taken out, but set settings. I wouldn't take another trade, but let's say I didn't trail, right? Let's say we wanted to trade. Let's say I didn't trail. I wasn't aware. Here's my volume profile. All right, bing. Here's my volume profile. It's 1 a.m. is now my entry window. Oh, I did that incorrectly. Bing. It's 1 a.m. is now my entry window. I'm aware yesterday's volume profile is in a state of trend. The momentum is in buy. This is more P-shaped. The 2-day profile is more P-shaped than anything, which tells me to sell. However, I'm going with the momentum because I do know to buy. So I'm not anticipating a reversal. We'll scratch that off the list. I'm only anticipating a continuation entry model or a trend continuation. And since I'm already aware the profile is in a state of trend, I'd look for matching node zones. Here I have a B. Here I have a range balance node zone and another range balance node zone. It's really not a matching. 3 of the same thing would have been great. That is incorrect. So I have here, but it's actually not 3 of the same thing, so there's nothing there. Now what do I mean? Here, we can qualify this as a B, right? A buy support. Range balance. There's not 3 of the same thing. That isn't a range balance zone. At this point, even if I wanted to, okay, wait. At this point, I'm asleep. I didn't put on an entry. Let's say I didn't put on an entry. The profile was E-shaped, so I didn't look for a regular breaking continuation. Made no sense. So 8:30 my entry window. Here is void of volume. If I enter below here, that's saying a reversal, and I'm not looking for a reversal. We already established that, so there's nothing here. But by the time it's 8:30, I'm aware that we have this P node zone right here. So this is already shaping up to be my external zone. We have a cluster as a resistance, and then we have a range balance node zone right here. However, I would choose this as my internal. And after 8:30 a.m., we did get a rejection. So that was an indication that we're selling off. But in this case, let's say we weren't aware. This just is a lesson. We wouldn't have taken a trade this day. However, wait, price just crossed over the 2-day point of control. That now we're in a state of trend. So it's a trend reversal. So I'm either looking for a low volume node area or a range, a sell. So instead of buying, I'm now looking for a sell. So after 1, and bing, we have a range already established. Actually, it started from 9:34. Wait, and in this case, we're on a 3-minute time frame. It started from 9:42. So bing, we have our external support zone right here, and then we have our external resistance zone right here. All right, cool. So that's the current range. Let's load up the volume profile indicator, see how that looks, and we'll put it on at 9:30. Started at 9:45, right? Yeah. So we set it to 9:30. We can see that we have this P node zone here as well. However, the volume profile runs through it, so it's not completely void. Or is it? It's right at the zone. I wouldn't qualify it as completely void. So I'd actually use this on 20 pip stop loss because trending territories, let's see what 81 looks like. Bing. And I would target the end of the range because that's our current range. I know we're now in a state of sell because a higher week has already been created in this bearish week. And bing. Let's see. It's already a new day. So if we weren't able to hold it, if we were in a prop firm, we would have had to close out right before. So it would have been around this time. Bang. So we got our take profit at 1:15 a.m. Wow. Let's see where we could have added on because we would have still been looking for a sell at this point because we're aware that we're trending lower. So where could we have added on? Let's see. But this is definitely the current resistance or external range. Let's say that this was still present. So load up the regular volume profile, get my profile. Value area high is almost at the same spot. Value area low. So it's now my entry window, 1 a.m. We're selling, so I need either so if I look at yesterday's value area high, if I look at yesterday's volume profile, it's more P-shaped than anything. The last 2-day volume profile is more D-shaped, telling me range. Now the momentum is not on my side, so I can't anticipate a breaking continuation. So I would need to anticipate. Interesting. Momentum isn't on my side, but we are selling. I don't see an opportunity for a reversal because we're already in sell momentum. I can say I can only see a trend, state of trend. Okay, now momentum is on my side. 1:15, we fast track. This is my volume profile. I'm now looking for a breaking continuation, and we are already below the volume value area, high and low. So in this case, this is shifted to here. Well, let's make sure it's correct. It's 1 a.m. My entry window is now 1:15 a.m. Momentum is now on our side. If I look, we have trending node zones. So in this case, that is not my range. In this case, I would capture before we broke out, before leaving. So bing. And now where should we target? 1 to 1. Is this structure is the question. Now in this case, I'm aware we're selling until we hit a significant reversal level, which would be a major internal or external support zone. Here would be the closest. So we should trend until we reverse here at the very least, or here actually. I didn't say here because it's desecrated. So it would be potentially here. Let's say we wanted to take the safe route. We'll just target right there. Boom, we got entry because that's our closest reversal zone. So in this bearish scenario, we should continue until this opposing external support, or is resistance turn support. So we should continue until this resistance turn support. Beautiful. Yeah, okay, we did ended up turning there. That's a shame. But it makes sense because this was a resistance which turned into support, but it still wasn't that strong or stable. We had liquidity here, liquidity here. So this was the next best zone. That was a significant reversal point. But we were actually supposed to continue below Sunday's opening price. So I'm glad I didn't take the buy. Okay, fast track to Thursday. All right, bring us now Thursday, my entry window. We trended back above Sunday's opening price. That tells me the tendency has now shifted from selling back to buying. I'm ignoring here, although we could have a reversal at these zones, but nonetheless, my value area high, and then my value area low. All right, bing. Momentum is on my side. I'm looking for either a breaking continuation or a trend continuation. In this case, is my entry window. It's my entry window and price is already outside of the volume profile. Let's go to my 3-minute time frame. In this case, notice how price action does not connect to the value area low. There's open space, so there is no ending for a range to be established, because the range will be where price action meets the value area high or value area low. So there's no breaking continuation entry right here. I am aware the profile is in a state of trend. However, there is no matching B node zones that I can buy off of for the trend continuation entry. So there's no opportunity here. There's no buying opportunity, at least. Now we did end up trending higher, but like I said, there was no opportunity. Yeah, we have a range. Interesting. We have a range balance node zone right here, though. So I guess I would have to brand this as the next potential trend entry. Interesting. Let's fast track. Thing is now 1 a.m. my entry window. Mark my value area height. Value area low. I'm aware the momentum isn't on my side because it's telling me to sell. However, I know I'm buying. So I need either a reversal or a trend breaking continuation entry. Now, there is this zone right here which is void. The problem with this is my stop loss isn't completely below the zone. So this is a higher risk trade, which I'm not comfortable with at the moment. So I would have done nothing. It would have won. Let's fast track to 8:30 a.m. I'm now in the market and we crossed over the 2-day point of control right here. So we're in a state of trend. Yesterday's volume profile looks to me as a B, a buy trend. It's a B and an E. So for the buy trend entry model, I want to see if we have matching node zones. In this case, I notice we have this B node zone right here. This isn't quite a B node zone. We have here, it's 2. And we have this zone, which still isn't quite, okay, it's actually, okay, down, up, down. Okay, we have this B node zone. Now we go for the first B node zone. However, this one, as far as a clean B, doesn't look that good. Okay, that's fine, daily metrics. Now in this case, since I'm aware we're trending, I go for the closest psychological level, which is 75. However, I'd be anticipating that we trend until at least 10:30. So this one will be more so time-based. Okay, and we breached above. And bang, we have entry. I'm aware we're still in a state of trend. And we have this zone right here. That's at 89, so I'd actually go for 0.0 level, psychological level. And we're roughly at a 2. Bang. In this case, I should have actually trailed it as well. Yeah, it would have made more sense to trail it since I was aware we were in a state of trend.